So the final round of the Rugby Championship is taking place this weekend. South Africa in the box seat, sitting on 15 points, one clear of New Zealand, who also have their game this weekend. But for the South Africans, they are heading up north alongside Argentina to play at Twickenham Stadium in England to see whether or not they will be crowned as the Rugby Championship winners. But in this video, we are going to be trying our best to predict what Rassie Erasmus is going to be selecting. Once again, it's a lottery, because you just never quite know what that man will be picking. But it is myself, it is Vic from Vic and Vern Sports Chat, mate. After 67 points to 30, you got to be pretty happy with the way that the Springbok side played.
Look, I wasn't happy with the first half. I was like, this is a typical game against Argentina. It's all about kicking, it's tight. But the second half, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, the last 5 minutes of the first half was just crazy. The Colby decision to drop kick it to his teammate, making the ball live, and then the two Sasha tries at the end there. I mean, there was this other guy on another channel I was watching. He said it quite, because we've always called him Sasha FM, but I've never used the word FM to put it on with the radio station. This other guy, his favorite radio station is now Sasha FM. He played well, man. He played well.
Yeah, the fact that he had 37 points by himself, the most of any Springbok in an individual game, surpassing Percy Montgomery. So that is a pretty good feat to have there for Sasha. But the question is, will Rassie even play him in this game at Twickenham, or is he now going to be rested heading into those November internationals? But for yourself, I think we are going to see a few players maybe missing out in this Twickenham lineup. Who have you got on that front row for Rassie's selection?
I was back and forth and back. I think Boone Venter gets the start again. I think at 2, I'm going Jan-Hendrik Wessels at 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm putting a curveball out there, and I'm putting Wilco Low at 3. But it could also be Bongi. But I think it's either Bongi or Jan-Hendrik Wessels. I don't think we see Malcolm Marx at all in this game.
He has played a lot of minutes throughout this Rugby Championship, and also did seem like when he scored that first try of the last contest up against Argentina, maybe a little bit injured, but saying that, he still continued playing for almost the full 80 minutes throughout that matchup. For myself, I've also got the change in the number 2 jersey. This is where I have got Manus van der Merwe as my starter. I don't think Rassie at the moment has him too high up the pecking order, because you look at the choices that they have made. Malcolm Marx off the bench, it was going to be Jan-Hendrik Wessels, and then it became Marco van Staden. So it makes you wonder whether or not that was just for that little bit more versatility, a bit of a backup for other positions. But Manus van der Merwe, from his limited amount of minutes that he's had for the Springboks, he's actually been pretty solid. So hopefully he does get some chances in the near future. I have gone with the Bulls props as well here. Jan-Hendrik Wessels as the number 1 and Wilco Low as my number 3. I thought that both men off the bench had that nice bit of impact. And Jan-Hendrik Wessels, there was one moment that I really enjoyed watching, and that was when Argentina went for the chip in behind, and Jan-Hendrik Wessels won the foot race, charging back the big man.
He is quick.
They all are. You look at the props nowadays compared to the old days. The props used to just have to get into the scrums, join occasional breakdowns, and that was about it. Nowadays, they're covering the 100-metre dash, trying to cut off the last offender, and they're doing it extremely well.
Well, when was that game? Well, I was so upset with Marnie, because I think it was the first game against, I'm not sure which game it was anymore. But
there's been so many.
But there was a prop. It could have been a hooker or a prop. I'd sprinted Marnie Lebok, and I'm like, that's not possible. You can't have your fly half being slower than a prop and stuff like that. I mean, but now that's quite an interesting thing that you got. Yeah, I had Jan-Hendrik Wessels at 2. I just thought he did come on as a 2 yesterday as the hooker. But you might, maybe Bongi starts. But I'll go Boone Venter, Jan-Hendrik Wessels, Wilco Low. I just think Rassie will try something. Because what I know about Rassie is he likes his specialists in his starting 15.
Yep.
And then he loves these guys, these hybrid players on his bench, the Quakas, the RGs, the Esther Hazens, even the Damon Willemses. He likes the players that he can say, I can play you in 4 or 5 different positions. So I'm giving myself a lot of options on the bench. But I would go Boone Venter. It's tough. I want to change my mind again.
I will allow it if you want to switch. Still time.
Okay, I'm going Boone Venter, Manus van der Merwe, Wilco Low. I'm going that way.
Okay, so you're going back to Manus as the 2.
Yeah, I put Jan-Hendrik Wessels back on the bench because he's more flexible. I'm trying to think like Rassie,
That's going to take you a long time to do because that is
Give me a
an
headache
impossible
already.
task. But moving on to the locking jaw now, trying to think like Rassi for this contest. For myself, I have actually gone with what I thought they may have gone with in the last match if they were rotating their side a little bit, and that is ARGENTINA Match as the starting number 4 with Ruan Nokia slotting in at number 5. I think that Nokia, he just has to keep on playing. He's been so strong. And Eben Etzebeth, this is not so much dropping him because of a poor performance up against Argentina. In fact, that man was one of the most unlucky out there on the field when it came to having that disallowed try, as well as also, you know, there were a lot of moments where Etzebeth all but had a great moment, but then someone else took the glory in the next phase or 2 phases afterwards. He was dangerous at line-out time, though, that is for sure, putting pressure on the Argentinian throw. But I think that we might see a little bit of the switch here. So that is why I've gone Arge starting lineup alongside, once again, Ruan Nokia.
I was looking at the minutes again, and Ruan Nokia played the last 4 games. The last 2, he's played 80 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, you know, but I would also, I think he starts with Ruan Nokia, and I also would go with RG's name on. I'd go with RG's name on, and I got Eben then coming as to replace one of them off the bench.
That is actually what I've got as well. So hopefully, if we're both thinking that way, means that Rassi will be too, but more than likely that means he's got something else planned, probably Mostert in the starting lineup. And
so I got Mostert in the starting lineup, but not there.
Oh, okay. A little bit of a spoiler for the loose ball trio, which we might as well move on to now. Whereabouts does Mostert feature in this trio?
I got Van Staden at 6. I got Franco Mostert at 7, and I got Jasper Wiese at 8. I think Jasper will play. He hasn't had that much rugby through his suspension, and I think he's been phenomenal. I think Mostert will come in at the 7 as he did in the second Australian test. Yeah, he played the 7 there. So I think he'll come in at 7 because Pieter-Steph du Toit has played basically all the games, and the last 3 games he's had 80 minutes. So I think Pieter-Steph gets a break, and I think Franco Mostert comes in at the 7.
Yeah, see, I was hesitant with this loose forward trio only because it's starting to gel quite nicely, and that's where I think maybe Rassi won't go and completely change it around just so that he can keep that cohesion going up front. We've seen how dangerous this backline has been developing for South Africa, so perhaps that is because of that consistency in the front. But I've gone Siya Kolisi as the number 6, mainly because if he's not in the starting lineup, I don't see them playing him off the bench.
No,
and that's also... It's very unfortunate for Marco van Staden because he's actually had a pretty good season so far for South Africa, but he just plays the same position as the skipper, so that makes it difficult. Number 7, I think they might stick with Pieter-Steph du Toit. I think that Pieter-Steph would be so disappointed to play a game like he did up against Argentina to then be dropped the next week, even though, of course, that is the way that Rassi does it. But, you know, he was absolutely phenomenal throughout that game.
Any other day of the year, any other rugby game, he's man of the match.
Yeah.
Pieter-Steph du Toit. I mean, look, he's man of the match. In any other rugby game in the world, this man is man of the match. But you had Sasha there yesterday, and you had to give it to Sasha because that was phenomenal. But I thought, you know, he was phenomenal. He scored 2 tries yesterday. He just was everywhere. And you were talking about the speed. He was running down forwards and everything like that. I mean, he was just fantastic. But I think Rassi gives him a break. I don't even think he's on the bench. That's just me. I'm trying to be controversial like Rassi, you know?
It's a good way to be because at the end of the day, with the amount of depth that they have got in the squad, you can afford to make those changes and it doesn't hurt the team that much. You know, you look at the Springboks side at the moment, it's actually the risky changes per se that have led to 2 of the biggest wins for the South Africans at the moment. You know, you look at that back line up against the All Blacks, the amount of people who said, what's he doing? This seems too experimental and it's just going to cost us. Yet it got them the biggest win on New Zealand soil ever for any side up against New Zealand. And then also you look at this game up against the Argentines, that second half, the Boks were just running rampage. And if they can do that again up against Argentina at Twickenham, it would not surprise me if their points differential was close to the 100 by the end of this Rugby Championship where they're currently sitting at plus 55. But I have also gone Jasper Wiese in that number 8 jersey. I just love the physicality that him and Pieter-Steph were bringing to that last matchup.
I was talking to Bert during the game to Bert, and I said, Jasper Wiese is not normal. He gets the ball, right, and he can run. And there's this massive hole that he can run into, right? No. He runs extra into somebody. He just wants to, I think he just enjoys hammering people. He could have just gone to his right, one step to his right, and there was like a 3-4 meter gap. And he sees two Argentinians there, and he just ran right into both of them. I don't think like he just likes hurting people. I think that's part of his game. And he, like we always said, this guy doesn't know 80%, 90%, or 100%. It's always 150%. He's always on the cusp of being, like the nutty professor. Either he's a genius or he's going to get himself sent off or a red card or something. He just plays on a totally different level with his aggression and his physicality. So I can't see them dropping him. I think look, we've got a lot of talent there. Conrad Hanekom that's injured, but I think Jasper Visser is basically put the nails in the coffin. That's his position. No one's taking that number 8 off him. He'll get a break and stuff like that, but come World Cup, I think he's got that number 8 locked, my friend.
Well, he'll get a break at some point because he'll probably end up suspended again, unfortunately. That is just the way
I think that's the only breaks he gets.
He's had a few holidays in recent times.
Yes.
But yeah, he's just one of those players that he also has the skill set as well. There's pure aggression there, but he's smart about the way that he does it. He'll lure in 2 defenders knowing that breakdown, the next one going off to the side, that leaves that even bigger gap than where he would have been able to run through just prior. Also, a little bit of the offloading game. South Africa doing many more offloads this year than they did last year throughout the Rugby Championship, and that could come down to that Tony ball a little bit in terms of that back line, trying to keep that ball moving and just running opposition off their feet.
Jasper Visser is not a player. I hardly ever see him going down on a one-on-one tackle.
No. That always lures an extra one.
He always has a second or third piece that they need to bring in and that kind of frees up a lot of, if you can offload then quickly, because he's that kind of guy. So you're basically sticking with the same 3: Sia, Peter Steph, and Jasper.
I am, yes. I also think because it's at Twickenham, yes, the crowd shouldn't come into it, but there'll be a lot of Springbok supporters who want to see their stars and want to see those guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's going to be an epic kind of occasion. We saw the Women's World Cup there just recently between England and Canada, and the crowd were incredible for that matchup, and I feel like it's going to be the same here, definitely with it being the last round of the Rugby Championship.
It takes 80,000. I'm going to tell you, there's going to be 75,000 South Africans in there. People don't know how many South Africans live in Great Britain or in Europe. It's going to be packed, man. It's going to be like it's a home game away from home.
I think Rassie will look at that and go, we're still going to play some of the stars. We're going to give you a taste of what you're going to get to see from the Springboks team. But also, it's the perfect opportunity to test out these young guys in that sort of different environment. You look at someone like an Ethan Hooker, the experience he would have gained from playing in New Zealand, and then going into this home game at Durban and just looking.
He played well.
Absolutely fine in that number 11 jersey. I did think that we were going to see Makazole get his kind of send-off game for the Boks, seeing as it seems like maybe passing of the torch has already happened, but I have to wait and see when Makazole does get that chance. But moving on to the 9 and 10 combination. For myself, I have gone with Morne van den Berg as the starting 9. Reinach, in that last game, I'll be honest, he was probably one of the weaker links of the Springbok side, but still had like a solid 7 out of 10. Like, it was still a very good showing from Reinach. Just those little handling errors, though. I don't know what's happened this season, but he's had that so often. The amount of disallowed tries from a Reinach era in the breakdown, but he still managed to feed Sasha Feinberg and Ngume Zulu the ball extremely well. But I did like seeing what Morne van den Berg did off the bench for that short stint. Managed to come on, got himself the try, so I'm giving him the start here. And in the number 10 jersey, I think that Rassie may actually go with Manie Libbok for this game at Twickenham. We've got to remember what that man did up against New Zealand at the same stadium only a couple years ago. Sasha, if we're basing it off form, he is 100% getting selected every day of the week in that number 10 jersey. But Rassie sometimes doesn't use the form side of things. He uses the depth and uses the rotation. And I do think that Morne van den Berg and Manie Libbok combination is one that they can build for the future. Alongside, by the looks of it, it's the Reinach and Sasha combo on the other side of things. So that is why I think they might actually go with the 2 changes for the 9 and 10.
I agree with you on the 9. I've also got Morne van den Berg starting. I still think Grant Williams is still a little bit injured. So I'm going Morne van den Berg and I'm going Faf de Klerk as the backup to him. I don't think we see Reinach at all. And I do want to see Morne van der Berg. And on the 10, I'm going with Marnie as well. I don't think we see Sasha at all. I'm going Marnie. I think Sasha's not even going to be on the plane.
Is that a strategic move from Rassi just to say, look, we know you had a great game, but, you know, we've got to settle you down a little bit?
Me as a coach, when I would do exactly the same thing. I said, listen, your son, you've had a phenomenal game.
Yep.
I mean, he got injured quite early in the New Zealand game, remember?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you've had a phenomenal game. It's all about you in the newspapers. I mean, South Africa is going to build you a statue after one game already. And I think Rassi's going to say, you know what, son? I'm going to bring you down to stay calm, keep your feet on the ground. Good game. We'll see you back in the autumn internationals. Go back to the Stormers now. Have a good season there. And I think that's just the way Rassi thinks sometimes, you know.
Yeah. And sometimes that can be the make or break for a young player, can't it?
Yes.
Sometimes we see, and I'm not saying this is the case with Sasha Feinberg and Zulu at all, but sometimes the ego of a young player, coaches do need to try and dwindle that down a little bit. Yeah, because or else then if he goes into the next games thinking he's an absolute star, we actually saw it for the Stormers as well.
Yes, yeah, that one phenomenal game, remember?
Yep. And everyone said best 10 in the world. And then the next 3 games, he had probably a 3 out of 10, a 4 out of 10, and about a 3 out of 10 again. And it did really hurt the Stormers. So that is not what Rassi will be wanting to happen here at international level. He'll say, the thing is, he's probably going to start him. We're just talking a whole heap of rubbish here.
But,
but, you know, I think that it wouldn't be a bad thing because of that injury, like you said. Just give him a little spell, maybe a bench spot in this game instead.
Yeah. But I wouldn't give him a starting spot. I'd give him a bench spot. Say, look, you play phenomenally well. Settle down, you know. Start Marnie, because Marnie's actually played 2 very good games.
Yeah. He's been solid.
The only reason we're not talking about Marnie is because of what Sasha did yesterday. But, I mean, Marnie, the kicks across field, I mean, he's scoring his tries. Marnie was solid. But I got to say one thing. You know, he scored 3 tries yesterday. But that's not interesting me on the Sasha part of it. His kicking was very good yesterday.
Yep.
I mean, like I said to you before when we were on air, I mean, he had one of those games yesterday, Sasha. I mean, 2 of his kicks bounced off the post and they counted. Like I said, I think he could have closed his eyes and kicked from anywhere. That just is his game yesterday. Everything was going to go over, you know. But now I think maximum bench, probably not even in the squad. That's just me.
Do you know what the craziest thing is? We've just talked about Sasha and Marnie. There's another quite well-established first 5 for South Africa. How about Andre Pollard, you know? Where is he now in the equation for the rankings at the moment for South Africa?
You know what scares me? I mean, you guys can go back and check any of our videos out. For the last year, I'm the guy, and Vern as well said, we got a problem in South Africa. We've only got 1 great kicker. We've only got 1 great fly-off. We got a problem. We don't have the depth that New Zealand have with the Barretts and Mackenzies and all these people. And now we don't have to go overboard. It's just a little window of what we've got. But at the moment, it's like, geez, we've got 3 good fly-offs at the moment. Who do we pick? Who's actually our number 1? Is it still Pollard? Is it now Sasha definitely our number 1? Marnie our 2. Sasha, is Pollard all of a sudden our 3rd best kicker? Which, saying that, I mean, you should just slap yourself because that's like ridiculous. But rugby things change quickly, man. It changes quickly. 1 or 2 good games, and you know, and you know how fans are and how we are. You know, you live in the moments. But now I think we see Marnie starting, and I'm going Marnie starting and Sasha and Pollard as a backup. I think we don't see Sasha at all.
I've actually got Sasha off my bench here. Just a little bit of a spoiler there. I think they might try and squeeze him in somehow, but also at the same time, you know, you don't want to give away all the tricks about Sasha. He is such a young, talented player, and I think you want to save some of that for November as well.
And he is injury prone.
He's got those big matches. True. Yeah, he's had a fierce year.
He missed a lot of the URC. I think didn't he? Sasha, he missed a big part of the internationals as well last year.
And that was when that kind of Pollard and Lebok, they were the 2 main options, and people always wondered where would Sasha fit back in. And at the moment, a lot of people putting him right up the top of that podium.
And I still got somebody in the back of my mind. It's 2 years to go. I mean, barring no injuries, I think those are the 3 fly-halves. But I still got old Fuzi Moya in my back of my head that if somebody gets injured,
youngster,
I like him, man. You know. So, but yeah, no. So I'm going Morning van der Berg, and I'm going Marnie, same as you. So we're agreeing on a few things here. That's good.
It's good, but it's not, because that means we're either going to be both right or both very wrong. And I have a bit of a feeling it's the wrong one. But the centres, let's see if we're wrong together here. Who is your midfield combo that you're looking at for this game?
I think we're going to see Jesse Creel back because he's been out of it. And I think we stick with Damien de Linde. I mean, I was surprised when he was part of the scrum yesterday. That was quite interesting with Damien de Linde in the seer position there. But no, I'm going Damien de Linde. I think he stays. And I think Jesse Creel will start.
Well, I've got the same. I've gone Damien de Linde as that number 12. Jesse Creel as the 13. I do.
Now you know we're wrong.
Yeah. We could have about 3 right of this whole lineup if we have got so many similarities, but we will be happy enough to be wrong, because you always can end up that way with a Rasi prediction. But Jesse Creel, he's had a lot of minutes throughout this year already, but I do actually think that this game at Twickenham, partner him with Damien de Linde. Plus, speaking of minutes, we've seen a lot of Kane and Moody as of late, and I think they'll want to rest him a little bit, but he does seem to have really found his feet in that 13 jersey, and I believe Rasi actually said it himself. He prefers when Moody's a bit closer to the action rather than waiting out on the wing and trying to work in with the fullback. So, I think that Moody, he's definitely second choice 13 at the moment. I know that Lucanio Arm's name was thrown around a little bit before, but I think it's Creel. Then you've got Moody. Honestly, some would go the other way around based off current form from Kane and Moody, but I do think
current form, but I still think Jesse's better.
And then Damien de Linde, he was kind of it sounds weird to say because he is such a world-class 12, but he was almost the odd one out of that back line when it got selected in terms of all those young players who are all just quick, lightning fast, whereas de Linde, he is more so just that battering ram, and he made some crucial meters up against Argentina. The amount of times that he set up a move that I think went a little bit under the radar with a carry or his distribution skills.
He always goes under the radar. He always goes under the radar. Because I always say, if you look at the last 3-4 years, he's always 7 or 8 out of 10 player every game. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. He's got the pace, he's got the physicality, but he's kind of like, he's also like a Kwaka Smith. He does a lot of things for the team that go unnoticed, in the game, because you're concentrating on who's scoring the tries, or the good kicks and stuff like that. But he does a lot of the dirty work a team needs, and now that's why I've got him in the team. He's one of my personal favorite players in any case, so I got him. He's my Caleb Clark.
There you go. But I think the perfect example of that would be that second match up against the Australians. We saw the return of Cheslin Colby, saw the return of Andre Pollard. Everyone talking about those two. De Linde also came back for that game and had a very solid, probably about an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. But because of the other players that were returning as well, I don't think mine's going under the radar, because it's actually, for some of these guys, they would prefer that rather than being the main talking point. You look at someone like a Cheslin Colby and that little drop kick blunder that we saw and how much of a talking point that has been. Yeah. Whereas, a lot of players just prefer staying in the shadows, doing their work.
His persona is like that. If you listen, he's not one that likes giving interviews. He's just kind of like, just let me play my rugby and leave me alone kind of guy,
Yeah, we've covered a lot of Springbok games. I don't think I've ever heard Damien de Linde speak. Not in my life. He would have, of course, done interviews, but I can't think of a single time that I've had the commentary on. Maybe it's just because straight after the game we normally have to turn it off for the review and whatnot, but I don't know what that man sounds like. I feel like it'd be like a bit of a deep booming voice, wouldn't it? Or something along those lines from the looks of him.
He's just, was for such a big man, you'd think come out like, whoa. But he's a very quiet individual. What I say is like Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I think off the field is probably the most lovable person. That's probably a great family man. I don't know, docile, quiet, and then the switch goes over him when he's on a rugby field. He goes wild, and he just does it. He's just been one of the best South African players in the last 5 years.
Yeah, and consistent as well, which I think is the big one. A lot of guys have had those up and down kind of roller coasters. Even someone, let's be honest, like a Jesse Creel, there were a few years ago, a lot of people were trying to drop him out of the Springbok side, and he brought it back to become one of the best 13s in the world. So
last season, he was undroppable last season in the Rugby Championship. He played every minute of every game in the Rugby Championship last year. He was maybe the best player for the Springboks in the Rugby Championship last year. And this year, look, it didn't start off well, the Rugby Championship for him, but look, obviously Rassie trusts him. I mean, he's one of the three players that always gets picked as a captain. If Sia's not playing, it's either Sia, Eben, or Jesse Creel. So I think he'll be back. I think Jesse's back.
And that's probably a good point. Creel would be your captain for this game, right? If Sia Khaleesi's not in the starting side.
Because I've got Eben Etzebeth on the bench, so I would go with Jesse as the captain. Yeah.
Alrighty. So now we've got the back three to determine. For myself, out on the left wing, I would love to see Ethan Hooker get a crack, but I just feel like for some reason they may go Makazole Mapimpi here on the left wing side just for a bit more rotation. Although Hooker, this is the perfect chance to give him more minutes. So as you can tell, I'm pretty 50-50 on that decision. Number 14, I think we'll see Cheslin Colby again, just to see what he can do out on that right wing side. Of course, we know he's world class, and he always will be when he plays for the Boks. And then number 15, this is where, again, I believe we will see Damian Valimza. He's playing some of his best rugby at the moment, so I think they have to strike while the iron is hot and just keep him building confidence heading towards the November internationals.
This is scary, but I'm going Mapimpi, Cheslin Colby, Damian Valimza.
So what changes have we actually got? We've got the two props. No, you've got Wilco Low as well. So number one is different for us because you've got Bowen Venter, I've got Jan-Hendrik Wessels. And then the loose forward trio. I believe those are our only changes.
Yeah. I got Van Staden in there. And I've got what's his name in there? Franco
Mostert. Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise it's quite. Look, Willemse, I actually think we might have not seen Damon de Linde had Fazi been healthy. I think Willemse would have started at the 12. Fazi won't be back for this game, so I think Willemse is definitely in there. And I mean, he has. A lot of people forget, when you talk about Damien Willemse, people think like he's somebody new that's coming up. He's won 2 World Cups already.
Yeah, it's a pretty good resume.
Yeah, I mean, he's a double World Cup winner, but he's also one of those players that. Now he's not a player that goes under the radar when it's with the media, because he's got a lot going on off the field. He's a solid player. Now I think that's going to be the lineup. I mean, I've only got 3 changes.
This is unheard of. We normally have about 7 or 8 between us. Any chance of Billy LaRue featuring at Twickenham?
No, I don't think. I still believe we never see Billy again.
But he got added back into the squad, didn't he?
Yeah,
there was that whole thing of maybe he was missing out, and then Rassie brung him back in.
But no, I can't.
More experience.
I can't. I mean, he got his 100th cap. Like that's why I'm actually going with you with Mapimpi. I think that they get him in there. Try to get him in there for one more last time for that big send-off. And what a better place to get sent off at, Twickenham. I know the English call it the home of rugby. We don't. You guys will say it's Eden Park. We'll say it's Loftus. But we'll give him the Twickenham. There you go. But it's so difficult, man. Because now I'm looking at this lineup and I'm thinking about Rassie. I can change all 15 again,
Yeah, I've had a few after saying them that I've thought, no, maybe I should switch that. I'm not sure on my loose forward trio. I'll be honest. That one.
We'll know more tomorrow. We'll know more tomorrow because we'll know who's on the plane tomorrow.
That will make it a lot easier. We should mention filming this very early, only less than 24 hours since the Springboks have played. So there may also be injuries that we aren't aware of. But you have to go early in the week because or else Rassie announces it on about a Tuesday and gives you no time.
I'm surprised. He might maybe announce it while he's on the plane.
That would be different. A little bit of a live press conference from the air. That is something no coach has done that I can think
before, I don't think we see. I hope we see Makazole get a game because I do think he deserves a send-off. If you're not going to use him anymore, he needs at least one game more for a good send-off. And I mean, look, it's not like you play Makazole Mapimpi, you're playing some bloody scrub or something like that. I mean, he's always been solid for the Springboks.
Yeah, he always offers you that solid enough performance out on that left wing, and it would be nice to see him get some sort of game. I thought that it would be Durban, just because in front of the home crowd for the Sharks as well, kind of that big official send-off, but maybe Rassie still has long-term plans for that man, and perhaps we will see more of Makazole in the future. He's very
loved in South Africa. He's because of what his background, his childhood, the hardships, he is in South Africa very much loved, So I think he does deserve a good ending to his career.
Yeah, and he just kind of epitomizes that whole work hard to try and get to where you want to be, and that is exactly what he's been able to do for the green and the gold. But moving on to the bench now, have you gone with a 5-3 or a 6-2 split for this contest?
Both.
Okay, so you got an Andre Estes, and I would assume in that number 23 jersey. That pretty much tells us what we need to know.
So no, I've got put Marnus van der Merwe in. I took Jan-Hendrik Wessels out, right? So I got Jan-Hendrik Wessels, Bongi, and Thomas de Toy on the bench, and I got Eben Kwaka, Faf, Pollard, and Esterhazen.
There you go. Quick fire. And all of them very good options off the bench. Thomas de Toy, I think that some people weren't too happy with his starting performance in that match up against Argentina. I saw that he got one of the lowest ratings out of any player, which was a bit of a surprise. Do you see them maybe looking to switch him out for Vincent Koch in this game?
He's another player that I don't think we're going to see. You know, he look, on form, he has not been good for the Springboks, and he didn't have a good season for the Sharks either last year. Yep. So his form has not been there. But yeah, I'll be honest with you, I forgot him totally about Vincent Koch. It wasn't even in my reckoning here. I've kind of written him off, me personally. Sorry, Vincent, if you're watching. Yeah, that's a good option, man. You know, that wouldn't surprise me with Rossi, you know, because he is a Sharks player. So I think he will take him because they're up in Europe in any case. Yeah, maybe Thomas Toy gets dropped. That's a good one. I'll join you.
So you are making that switch?
I'm making that switch. I'm getting Vincent Koch.
Alrighty, so I've got Bongi Umbanambi as my number 16. So another Sharks man in there. Bohan Fenta 17 and number 18 I did have Vincent Koch. So now, you know, we're both on same page there. Eben Etzebeth as my number 19. I do like the idea of having him later on in a game just to bring that kind of physicality. I think that Argentina will want to finish this match better, which is where we may actually see them once again go back to either Pablo Matera off the bench or maybe Joaquin Oviedo or just something a little bit different to give them a bit more of a boost like that second match up against the Australians. Number 20, Quagga Smith, because it's hard to take that man out of the side. Definitely with the fact that he has played so many games, but he hasn't actually had that many minutes as a whole because of the fact that it's normally only a 30-minute performance each time he makes his way out there. Number 21, I've gone with Faf de Klerk, so I'd love to see the veteran get his chance. I think with the Grant Williams injury, it also does open up that door. Reinhardt probably due for a rest after that last match. Number 22, Sasha Feinberg Ngume Zulu. So I have not got Andre Pollard hesitantly for this game. Now, originally I did, but then I thought about it and I went, well, Sasha played that well that if he was to get dropped completely, I think people would get very angry. So that one, you know, it could go either way, and I wouldn't be surprised if they give Pollard the chance, but I had to chuck Sasha in there just to kind of keep the peace. And then number 23, Andre Esterhazen. So I've actually got a lot of Sharks boys off the bench for this matchup.
That's an intelligent thing to have a lot of Sharks boys, because I do think that URC thing factors in there. So you take a lot of Sharks players with you on the bench, and they just stay in Europe for the next weekend's games in any case, because the whole team of the Sharks is in Europe in any case. And I mean, and if anything would happen, you know, if any player got injured or anything, like Edward van der Merwe is in Europe already. Mm-hmm. The Hendricks brothers are in Europe already. I mean, you've got a few Springboks around the Springbok team that are in the Sharks lineup. So I think if I was a coach, I'd be factoring that in and saying, listen, I mean, didn't the Lions do that with their tour in Australia when they had Scotland playing against the Fijians and the Samoans? And all the injured players that they had, they just filled up with Scottish players coming off that team. So I think you could do something like that, but let's hope no injuries, you know. But you've got a lot of Sharks players in this one as well. Yeah, I see.
A few more than I normally would have, I think. Normally I try and mix and match, but I guess that's also because I've got Jan-Hendrik Wessels and Wilco Low alongside Nokia in the starting lineup. In fact, my starting side actually has quite a few balls thrown in there for good measure as well. But nonetheless, those are our lineup predictions, ladies and gents, for what we think Rassie Erasmus may select for this upcoming side. Of course, this is a huge game. It's taking place in England, and this will determine the Rugby Championship. At the moment, New Zealand, they are behind by 61 in the points differential department, which does mean unless South Africa absolutely butcher this one or lose up against the Argentines, they should have one hand already on that Rugby Championship trophy to go back-to-back, just like they did the last World Cups. But nonetheless, of course, do let us know who you would like to see in Rassie's side and who you think he will be selecting for this matchup. A massive thank you to Vic from Vic and Vern Sports Chat. Be sure to check them out. The link will be in the description down below. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you for the next one.